What's up, y'all? Talon here, and today I'm excited to be sharing another team from the World Championship. This time we have one created by Tomoya Agawa, the Seniors Division World Championship this year. It's got a lot of really interesting choices that are not something you typically see, but all meshed together to create a really anti-meta team that was able to take Tomoya to the first place in the really competitive Seniors Division World Championship. This was definitely a fan favorite team, so I took the time to recreate the team in-game with my own EV spreads because the team hasn't been made public as far as I'm aware. So if you're interested in using the team in-game, I have the rental code in the top right of the video, as well as the description below. I have the PokePaste with all the EV spreads. If you appreciate me sharing the team as well as the channel in general, I share a lot of rental teams as well as take them on the ranked battle ladder. Please subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate it. Trying to hit 1,000 subs in the near future. With all that being said, let's go into the breakdown of the team. Starting off, we have the Arcanine-Hisui form. It's really different from the other ones we've seen do well in this metagame. We've seen one Will-O-Wisp on another Tailwind team that did well at Worlds, but by and large, they've really been the Choice Band Terra Extreme Speed or Terra Normal Extreme Speed set, just trying to take as much damage with Flare Blitz, Rock Slide, Head Smash, and Extreme Speed, along with Chien-Pao on the field to just do damage kind of comparable to Choice Band and Dragonite. That's kind of the intention behind the set, while also providing a little bit more utility with Intimidate. This one goes in a different direction. It's an Assault Vest set, so really able to stand up against special attackers quite well. But the standout is definitely the Terra Fairy Terra Blast, because that really lets you answer Urshifu if it has not gone for the Terra, the Urshifu Rapid Strike. If you're not able to KO it, you're at least putting it in range of Extreme Speed in the next turn, and it's just really good into Urshifu-Dark type. Even though they're less common, the Terra Fairy on Arcanine basically lets you completely answer that Pokemon. Rillaboom is interesting in that it's a leftover set instead of Assault Vest or Citrus Berry, which we've sometimes seen. I think this is a really cool set just because it really compounds with the Grassy Surge healing, so that instead of just being able to chip Rillaboom earlier in the battle and soften it up for maybe an Icicle Crash or a Heat Wave later in the battle, you really have to consistently be putting damage on it, because that 12% healing every turn really adds up. Rillaboom has also opted for Drum Beating over Wood Hammer, just adding an additional form of speed control to the team while also having pretty solid damage. Basically, you can Drum Beating a Flutter Mane and then your Urshifu will suddenly outspeed and knock that out. Speaking of the Urshifu, it's a Black Glasses Terra Poison set on the Single Strike Urshifu, so really taking advantage of the Black Glasses damage to not have to commit the Terra Dark to it to do meaningful damage with Wicked Blow, instead opting for Terra Poison to resist any Fairy type damage coming its way from Flutter Mane, as well as also resisting fighting type moves. It's just a generally really solid defensive typing for Urshifu. Zapdos is unique over something like Tornadus in that it's consistently able to get up Tailwind unless you're facing Taunt. There's not a lot in the metagame that can knock it out in one hit, especially with all the defensive investment that it has been trained with, as well as the Citrus Berry. If you get the first Tailwind up, it's going to be really hard to knock you out later in the battle, as your Urshifu, Arcanine, etc., your Sylveon are exerting really hard offensive pressure. You can just go for Roost in the meantime, as well as just go for Hurricanes and Thunderbolts when the coverage is super effective into your opponents and you need that chip. The Gastrodon is the team's main answer against Urshifu Rapid Strike. The Storm Drain ability is just so overpowered, being able to redirect the Surging Strike and get a special attack boost. And even if they tag you with a close combat on switch in, with the Terra Fairy later on, that's not going to be doing much damage if you've already gone for that Terra Fairy. But even when you haven't gone for Terra, you have Rocky Helmet, so you're doing a meaningful amount of damage to them. And unless they're invested fully in attack, they really shouldn't be getting to a KO on you. So that's generally a trade that you're happy with. Basically, even forcing them to go for a close combat onto your Gastrodon is a loss of tempo for them. Sylveon is the last Pokemon in the team here, and I think it makes a lot of sense given the partner Pokemon. So generally you're going to want to be using a Flutter Mane on most Tailwind teams and really just any normal team. The speed advantage into something like Urshifu is just so valuable, but when you have Gastrodon to redirect any Surging Strikes, you're able to go for Hyper Voices pretty freely, and given that you're not going to be able to match up into other Tailwind teams and just go as aggressive as they can with the priority Tailwind, it doesn't really matter if you're going first, so you might as well go for a Pokemon like Sylveon, which has a bit more physical bulk into the primarily physical attacking metagame that we're in Regulation D. Sylveon is Terra Fire just to be able to resist any Steel type moves coming its way, as well as being able to threaten things like Goldango for super effective damage, which otherwise could be a bit of an issue. And the concluding moves on the set are Hyper Beam and Sleep Talk, so kind of niche moves, but if you're in a situation where you just really need that damage, say into a Trick Room setup, just needing that immediate damage, or against an Amoonguss after you've spored them, there's not a lot of switch-ins for Spore on this team. outside of your own Rillaboom, so having the option to bring in your Sylveon and go for Sleep Talks and basically be spamming a Hyper Voice or some manner of really strong attack is nice coverage into Amoonguss. Overall, I think this was a really well-crafted team. It was able to take Tomoya to first place in the World Championship, as mentioned in the senior division. If you're interested in taking the team to the ladder yourself, of course I have the rental code in the top right as well as the PokePaste in the description. Please subscribe to the channel if you appreciate that resource, and now we'll move into the ranked battles. So this will be the first ranked battles of the season. Let's see what we can do against Lilligant, Torkoal, Armarouge, Indeedee, Landorus, and Flutter Mane. So I think we're actually pretty strong against Sun with the Arcanine. I can kind of just lead that kind of with impunity, go for Rock Slide. The Wide Guard could be an issue, but that's definitely something I'm not too worried about overall. I don't love Zapdos. I think Flutter Mane, Landorus Flutter Mane seems reasonably likely from them, so I want to have, I think Gastrodon's kind of a bad lead, but could be good in the back. I might lead the Urshifu just because I feel like Terra Poison could be effective. I'd like Rillaboom to reverse stuff, potentially. I think I'll go Gastrodon as well as Rillaboom in the back, just a solid defensive pair of Pokemon. And maybe Sylveon over Rillaboom is a little better, but I do want to be able to turn off their Psychic Terrain. And until I can go for a Terra on my Sylveon, Terra Fire that is, I'm still kind of weak to the Fire and Psychic moves, and I don't think I can weather the storm and just go for resisted Hyper Voices to get myself through it, unless I've already gone for Terra Fire. So given I don't have it in the lead, I think Rillaboom's probably a better choice just because I'll consistently be able to turn off Psychic Terrain. And we see Indeedee Armarouge, which I think is a little weak to Arcanine-Urshifu, truthfully. Like, I think maybe their better option is Landorus Flutter Mane in that situation, just because I feel like I have really solid options into their options, basically. So they could probably go for a Terra Fairy on Indeedee, but given that they also have to Wide Guard to mitigate a flinch risk, I think Flinch, Rock Slide plus Wicked Blow feels like a pretty high odds play for us to at least get us a lot of damage, and at worst, at least get us a lot of damage if we double connect, and at worst, they waste their Terra, and that's totally fine. But they're taking their time. I feel like Wide Guard would be, well, if I'm like Choice Banded and then I just Wicked Blow, Head Smash, they don't really have a lot of counterplay, so they're probably trying to figure their way around that. But it could just be follow me, go for a Terra on the Armarouge, which would be totally make a lot of sense, but yep, it is Terra Grass on the Armarouge, which I'm fine with. I don't think that's too bad for me. Yeah, there is the follow me. I believe my Urshifu is trained to be faster than Arcanine, so it's not going to be an issue. And yeah, clean knockout with the Black Glasses. They might have expected to live if I was like Focus Sash or something, but yeah, Rocky Helmet procs, but no Focus Sash to be broken, not really worried about that. We go for Rock Slide and we do connect, so the game could pretty much end right here if we flinch, but no, they do Trick Room, so overall, I think we made the correct turn last play. Didn't get the luck we needed to really just end the game right away, but we were able to roll the dice, which is something that sometimes you just have to go for. Like, the game's by no means over. They bring in Lilligant in Trick Room, which is interesting, because my Arcanine doesn't really feel that threatened. Like, I can turn off, okay, I don't know what Pokemon were on their team preview, but it definitely wasn't the right ones. I'm not really threatened on my Arcanine, hardly at all. But I could really weaken them if I wanted to by going for... I feel like they don't really go for Heat Wave here. They probably go for like Close Combat plus... I could take a lot of damage on their Lilligant this turn by just going for Flare Blitz, and I don't think they have a way to knock me out, but I think I can get Armarouge in range of either my Rillaboom or a Sucker Punch from my Urshifu. Okay, they do go for Heat Wave, which is a decent play, but I'm not sure I totally follow why they went for it. Like, it works because I switched to Rillaboom, but I'm not really sure why they went for that. Okay, fair enough. So I'm still not taking a lot of damage on my Arcanine, so I think I'm fine with that. Like, I'm asleep, sure, but so what? So my Rillaboom is actually trained with a fair bit of speed, but with leftovers, I'm going to heal up close to 90 after the next turn when I protect, so I think I'm kind of whittling everything down in range where they can't really do a lot of damage to Arcanine just yet. So I think I'll just prioritize the Lilligant. That's really all that can threaten me once Trick Room ends, and I'll go for a Protect on my Rillaboom. Like, they can go for close combat and deal reasonably strong damage onto my Arcanine, but really they're just softening up their team, I think. Yep, there's that first guaranteed turn of sleep. And yeah, there's the close combat. Didn't really have a switch in for that. Oh. You know, I don't know why I thought that my Arcanine was neutral to that. Guess I've just grown accustomed to the fire type Arcanine, but yeah, that does way more easy knockout for them. But now I have Urshifu with Black Glasses, which is nice. Healing a lot of HP. There's some temptation to go into my Gastrodon and Ice Beam the Lilligant, because that should be a pretty easy knockout. But I don't think I should just yet. It doesn't feel quite correct. I'm going to switch in Urshifu. I don't think a Sucker Punch knocks them out. I could go for a Terra Poison, but that really opens me up to... Sucker Punch probably should knock out Armarouge, I'd expect. So I could go for Terra Poison, Sucker Punch, U-Turn. Be interesting. But let's look at Trick Room turns. We might not have to. I feel like Protect or Detect, switch to Gastro is pretty good. Basically just let me refresh the Fake Out for the Lilligant later in the game and then go from there. And they've kind of committed to just going for Heat Waves over and over, so they probably think, okay, Rillaboom's an easy pickup here. Maybe they target with me with the close combat, but I kind of doubt it. They think I could be Choice Band given the damage turn 1. They don't know I'm Protect Black Glasses yet. Yeah, there is a Sleep Powder. We'll actually meaningfully see the breakdown of our speed tiers in Trick Room with the Wicked Blow, or with the Grassy Terrain. And yeah, we do actually outspeed their Lilligant. So I think we can actually take a knockout here with not Wicked Blow most likely, but Close Combat. That should knock them out. And then I just go for probably Yawn into this Armarouge in case it switches out. If they have Landorus, they could punish me, right? With close combat not knocking out Lilligant, but I feel like it has to be Torkoal on the back. It's expanding force into my Gastrodon, which does a ton of damage. But yeah, close combat just clears out the Lilligant, so stalling that turn with Detect. I wasn't sure if we undersped Lilligant in Trick Room. I kind of expected to, but I'm not familiar enough playing against or with Lilligant to know its speed tier off the top of my head, but being able to check with the Grassy Terrain kind of on its own made the Rillaboom pretty valuable here. But yeah, with Trick Room ending, we have a guaranteed Wicked Blow. Ooh, not so guaranteed. Interesting. Okay, it is Flutter Mane last. With a Terra Speed. So Icy Wind expanding force would actually be kind of troublesome on some level, but I don't think I have to worry about it because I yawned last turn. So I think I just go for Detect, yawn the Flutter Mane, and then win from there. Because then I can just knock out the Armarouge anytime I want with Wicked Blow. It is Moonblast, so I could have gone for Terra Poison then. But they either get Trick Room up or they knock out Gastrodon. Either way, I'm kind of fine with that. Okay, we do live, so that kind of just seals the game. Unless they read and crit us with Shadow Ball, we should win here. In theory, if we were Focus Sash, we'd also win anyways because we healed back to full HP. And we haven't broken the Focus Sash. We didn't go to 1 HP, so we actually would just win anyways. But I think at this point, now we just go for Terra Poison, Wicked Blow into the Flutter Mane. Probably switch in Rillaboom. Because the one issue we get is if, for example, this Wicked Blow doesn't knock out the Flutter Mane. I'd expect it to because it's a speed boosting Flutter Mane. Those usually aren't that bulky. But on the chance they maybe survive this hit, if they can protect on my Sucker Punch next turn and their Armarouge wakes up after I go for Terra Poison, they could definitely sweep me with Dazzling Gleam after they just Expanding Force knock out my Urshifu after it's turned into a poison type. So there is the Moonblast. We'll see how much it does. Oh, wow. That does a lot of damage. That does so much damage, wow. But yeah, we do knock them out. That's definitely something to be conscious of. I think Shadow Ball actually might have knocked us out. So I have no HP investment on this Urshifu. Maybe if I were to remake this team, I'd consider living Shadow Ball at neutral from Flutter Mane because that was probably pretty scary close to knocking me out if they made that read. Although they would be asleep. I feel like Rillaboom probably might. I'd probably lose, honestly. But yeah. Now we just go for Fake Out and Wicked Blow, and we have it locked down. And they do cancel. Definitely a hard-fought battle. Trick Room's a little tricky, no pun intended. When you have a team without any taunt, any reversal options against Trick Room, you kind of just have to position yourself really well. And being able to knock out the Indeedee turn 1 and really just nearly win the battle with a flinch turn 1 as well, I feel like was as good as we could have gotten. And even then it was a little tough. They made a good read on the Heat Wave instead of the Expanding Force into my Rillaboom switch in. We lost a lot of ground there, but ultimately I felt like I was trading pretty decently and stalling out their Trick Room turns well enough where Urshifu could close it out in the late game as long as I preserved my Terra. Alright, second battle of the season. We are still pretty low ladder, so we're seeing a lot of kind of gimmicky Trick Room teams. We have Indeedee, Armarouge, Ursaluna, Hisuian Typhlosion, Urshifu, and Screamtail. So lots of unfamiliar Pokemon who's kind of struggling on some of their names, but okay. One struggle against the Oranguru is it can have Inner Focus, which makes it immune to flinches, but I think Urshifu is just generally a really strong lead against these type of teams. Really only threatened by opposing Urshifu, in which case Sylveon, you know what I mean? Although I could weaken their close combat to a point where maybe they don't knock me out. Maybe Gastrodon's a good lead. Actually, just put them to sleep. That could be pretty cool. Yeah, I might actually go for that. That could bolster my defenses really considerably. And Sylveon in the back feels pretty solid. And they don't really take that great advantage of the psychic terrain. But I think Rillaboom, Arcanine for the basically weakening the Hisuian. Not the Hisuian Typhlosion, but the Ursaluna. The Intimidate could be nice, but maybe I should just be going Rillaboom and trying to Fake Out and basically force them to Terra so that I can Sucker Punch them later in the game, but yeah, that's probably a lot stronger now that I think about it. Like that's definitely a much more consistent line, and there's a lot more value from the Rillaboom into the Ursaluna line, but if they go Typhlosion, which they seem to be doing, okay. Yeah, they might just be able to knock me out straight up, which is an issue for sure with Eruption. Yeah, this was a good lead from them. I'm not sure I can live a Choice Scarf hit. What I might do is Well, this is actually the instance in which Arcanine's really good, because I double resist and can go for Protect. It feels like it'd be a really aggressive play to go for Trick Room here if they're a Choice Scarf. Maybe they're just Choice Specs. Regardless, though, I think Arcanine was actually a pretty good pick here, given they went with the Typhlosion mode, which I ended up bringing pretty weak to, so... I wouldn't call it good instincts that I brought Arcanine, but my gut in those last seconds ended up paying off pretty well. It is a fast Eruption. They did not go for a Terra, so I probably could have sniped the Indeedee if they were Choice Specs. That damage looks... probably not. They do go for Dazzling Gleam. I feel like that's Choice Scarf then. Now we have a really safe Rock Slide, though. I could try and catch a switch in with... Ice Beam doesn't do much for me, so I think I'll go for Yawn. Well, Yawn's pretty bad too. Yawn doesn't do much of any good against Ursaluna because the Flame Orb will activate before I can actually make use of that. Okay. I don't have a good Terra to go for an Ice Beam on it. Okay, I'm going to Rock Slide and I guess go for a Yawn into Indeedee. I could try an Ice Beam that slot, but that's probably what I should have gone for. But I think if the Indeedee stays into... Oh, they go for Follow Me instead of Trick Room. I kind of disagree with that, but I guess I would have been hitting an Ice Beam into them anyways. We missed the Rock Slide into Ursaluna. We hit the Indeedee, which is really what we wanted to hit, and yeah, I think we're fine with that trade overall. This is definitely where the Terra Ghost Rillaboom set would have been coming in clutch, but now we're kind of just mincemeat for this Ursaluna, unfortunately. I think I can knock out their Indeedee 100%, and I go for Ice Beam, I think. The Rock Slide chip probably would be non-negligible. It might turn this Ice Beam, which is probably going to be a 3-hit KO, into a 2-hit KO. Oh, they switch. Okay, smart play. I guess I did just yawn them, but Urshifu's coming out, tanking a Flare Blitz. That's fine. And I say, okay, that's fine because it's not the water type one. That's extra fine. We do take a lot of damage in recoil, but given they're probably knocking us out with a Facade or a high horsepower anyways, yeah, that's nothing. Headlong Rush, so that's really good actually. So they are whittling away their turns of Trick Room, Opportunity, or their Psychic Terrains, because now I can kind of Sucker Punch, and that burn's actually really important because I can bring in my Urshifu pretty easily without much threat. And I have a free Wicked Blow into the Urshifu slot. Do I have to do that? Do I want to take damage just yet? I don't think so. I feel like Hyper Voice Earth Power is really safe into Ursaluna though. So I'm going to give Sylveon a chance to shine. I think it's actually better in this situation because I can go for a Terra Ghost, or a Terra Fairy, sorry, Terra Fire, whenever they bring Typhlosion in, but they're playing this game kind of perplexingly, but also really effectively. They're definitely switching and staying ahead of me positionally, but I still have some of my options left. So yeah, I think Hyper Voice plus Earth Power will knock out the Ursaluna after the Headlong Rush. And they're going for a Terra. Terra Poison would be interesting to resist the fairy damage. Okay, they're going for Terra Fighting on Urshifu. That's really, really odd. But they'll do a lot of damage with close combat for sure here. I just doubt it knocks out my Gastrodon with the burn. Oh yeah, it wouldn't have even knocked out without the burn, so yeah, not feeling... I guess the burn hardly matters because I'm always just going to go Sylveon there instead of Urshifu if they aren't burned, so yeah, pretty clean knockout onto that. And at this point, they kind of have to lock into Hisui and Arcanine's Eruption to do meaningful damage to the rest of my Pokemon. And Psychic Terrain will end when? Not this turn. So that's perfect, because as long as I knock out Indeedee, then I can just Sucker Punch the Typhlosion. So now I think this is kind of pretty easy. I just go for Terra Fire on my gal Sylveon. I guess this is a boy Sylveon, but very girl-coded Pokemon. Love Sylveon. She's so cute. I feel like just Terra Fire, Hyper Voice should do the trick, and then I'll Earth Power the Indeedee, or I'll Earth Power the Typhlosion on some chance that they... No, I definitely get after the Indeedee this turn. Because yes, like... No, this is fine, because they have to either... They have to follow me if they don't want to just lose their offensive potential with the Typhlosion. Yeah, so it definitely didn't matter. I just Hyper Voice Earth Power. Yep, easy peasy. Tanking that. If that was a neutral hit, we wouldn't have taken half, actually, so that kind of confirms it was Choice Scarf to me. Yeah, that does a lot of damage to Typhlosion, and Earth Power should pick this up. But I think that's really why... Like, it was good for them in this battle because they could threaten my Urshifu on lead, but ultimately, like, that anti-synergy of the Choice Scarf Typhlosion next to the Trick Room setup kind of eventually came to bite them, where a Torkoal just simply setting up Trick Room would have been a lot more difficult for me than having to switch around a little bit in front of the Typhlosion. But good game to them. Another hard Trick Room team where we don't have a lot of options, but we do have a strong enough defensive core that a lot of time we can make up for that. Okay, up against Moltres, Landorus, Amoonguss, Iron Hands, Flutter Mane, and Urshifu. So this was actually a team that I think got 38th at Worlds, if it's the exact same 6. I shared a paste of it, as well as, I believe, Nino Pokebros. It was the original creator of the team. Or not Nino Pokebros, I think it was Poke Esports maybe. But yeah, really strong team, and I'm excited to see how we fare against it. So the Nasty Plot Moltres is definitely very excellent against Urshifu, so that kind of lessens my willingness to bring it. I believe it is Terra Water on the... Oh, actually, do we have Clear Smog? We do not. Yawn could still be good though, regardless. We could force a Terra Poison pretty easily with our Sylve, as well as force a Spore into us. I think that could be nice. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Sylveon Arcanine as lead. I feel like it does a lot against many of their Pokemon. Gastrodon in the back is near necessary when you're bringing Arc against Ursh. And pretty solid against Hands, pretty solid against Landorus, of course. And as my last, Rillaboom, kind of bad. I could see Zapdos being decent. I think, yeah, I went Zapdos. I think if I can get Tailwind up, that could be nice for my Arcanine on my Sylveon, as well as having the ability to Roost, but Urshifu also could have been solid. I'm just a little worried about their Moltres spiraling out of control with Intimidate support as well as Amoonguss. I'm not sure I handle it that well, so I want the Zapdos on the field to potentially Thunderbolt it, force the Terra, and just Roost off much damage. So it's Lando Moltres. So I'm glad I got Intimidate off. I think this gives me pretty free opportunity to go for Hyper Voice, force a Terra from them, and switch into... Yeah, they have pretty free Earthquake. We're going to take a lot of damage here on Sylve, but I think it's worth it to force out the Terra and then switch in my Zapdos. They could also protect, maybe U-turn or something, but I think we're getting ahead of that by switching, for the most part. And if they bring in Urshifu, we rub our hands together and then click the button, Hyper Voice, and switch to Gastrodon. Sylveon was definitely... Like, they can go for something like... Just let the Moltres tank the hit. I kind of doubt it tanks Hyper Voice. It might, though. It's bulky enough. Oh, it's Tailwind. Okay. So that's already deviating a little bit. They're probably just going to get... Oh... Not a great turn for them to start off. I think Nasty Plot Terra Poison could have been pretty good, but instead they just take yeah, they immediately get knocked out. They might have been able to live. Truthfully, given it's a Tailwind set, it's probably pretty bulky, but all that damage rolling out from the Sylveon is just proving why it's so good. Like against the... With the Intimidate pressure, I was pretty confident I wasn't getting 2 at KO'd, which is just not... Oh, my poor baby. My poor sweet child. You really do hate to see it, but you know we got to do it to him. So this might just be a straight up Sylveon sweep. Try saying that 3 times really fast. Yeah, they probably do go for Terra Water or something, Jank, but... Stomping Tantrum notably will double in base power here. Ooh, Terra... Are you going to Terra Blast my Gastro? That'd be pretty hype. Yeah. No, not quite. I think it's probably safer to actually switch in the Gastrodon onto the Zapdos slot, or onto the Sylveon slot, and just set up Tailwind. But yeah, okay, they do barely live, but at this point, unless they're Terra Grass, it doesn't matter. They really needed the Stomping Tantrum damage onto my Sylveon, I think. At this point, we have no reason to switch out the Gastro. Just gonna yawn. Do they have a switch in? They could switch in a Mungus if they have it. So we'll just take a KO and then yawn. Whichever doesn't get KO'd. They do cancel, so yeah. This is kind of showing off the strength of the team. A lot of teams in this metagame are kind of predicated on beating bulky special Pokemon like Sylveon with just having Urshifu, because that list of Pokemon is basically Heatran and Flutter Mane. So you're not accounting for just a little bit beefed up defense stat, and especially with Gastrodon support. So the Sylveon just really able to take control of that battle, given we led with Intimidate. We had our defensive switch-ins in the back of our party, and just, yeah, kind of taking advantage of the really strong team building that Tomoya laid the groundwork for us with. Wow, okay, we have another really interesting Trick Room team. I think this one actually got pretty close to cutting day 1 of Worlds. It's, I believe, created by Conkeldonk VGC. It's Mousehold, Torkoal, Bruxish, Ursaluna, Cresselia, and Urshifu, and I think it's Urshifu-Single Strike with a fair amount of bulk on it. One way to stop this weakness policy, Aqua Jet, Bruxish, Torkoal combo is having Arcanine on the field and just resisting that. Gastrodon's pretty solid too, although that does kind of leave myself open to taunt. Yeah, we can't Sucker Punch them, of course, because of the Dazzling ability. We have to be conscious of that. I think I kind of like Gastrodon. Oh, Gastrodon's actually so gas against the Aqua Jet combo. I think it still redirects. I'm not sure, but I think so. So yeah, we just have to watch out for the Urshifu a little bit. I'm going to lead Sylveon. Okay, apologies for the drop in audio. There were some dogs barking in the background. Didn't want to subject your ears to that, but yeah, essentially just going with some consistent options, I feel, against Trick Room. The Sylveon, I think the Urshifu, after it goes off, will be pretty good. I could have gone for something like Urshifu Arcanine, immediately tried to knock out the Mousehold with close combat, and then maybe Rock Slide the Bruxish, but I don't think that accomplishes too much. I believe the Mousehold set is Population Bomb, Technician, along with some other juice, but I kind of want to preserve my Sylveon as best I can. I'm going to Rock Slide and switch into Gastrodon here and let them Population Bomb themselves. Because, right, the obvious play here for me is Rock Slide Population, or Rock Slide Hyper Voice, and just try and knock out through Follow Me. But if they go for Pop Bomb into the Gastrodon, they're not going to fare so well. So they're going to get 6, maybe 7 hits off of this based on how they've EV'd their Mousehold. But I think that's a very favorable trade for me, given I now get a Rock Slide and potentially win the game off a flinch right away. Although I should probably check if it's Covert Cloak Bruxish. Yeah, so just knocking themselves out while exchanging 50% of my Gastrodon's HP, which I think is fine for me. We do hit the Rock Slide. It's going to do really close to a knockout, and they do get Trick Room up. It could be Covert Cloak, not really sure, but having the Gastrodon here is definitely very much appreciated. So they bring in Ursaluna, which is fair enough. Definitely a big threat. But they haven't set up their boost yet. Still a big threat though. High horsepower is definitely going to knock out my my Arcanine, which is an issue. Ice Beam, solid damage into Ursaluna though. I think I might switch in Urshifu here. And Ice Beam this guy. Unfortunately, I can't really yawn so safely, so I have to go after the Ursaluna and try and take some damage. So yeah, we did a ton of damage. We took one knockout under Trick Room, but maybe the better option there is hope our Sylveon lives the Population Bomb, in which case we just take a double knockout with Hyper Voice. They protect the Bruxish, so it's probably going to be Earthquake, which I think without Guts, Gastrodon could live. I'm EV'd pretty defensively. Yeah, we do. So we get a big Ice Beam off. Big being relative. But any damage is nice into the Ursaluna, and we actually had a chance to freeze, which could have been notable. But they are wasting their Trick Room turns. I think now we can pretty safely go for Protect, Double Protect. Yeah, so when you have Protect with three turns of Trick Room left, some Pokemon in the back, I think you just go for that. Unless they're poised to take a double KO, which I don't think they are. As long as I can basically switch in a Pokemon next turn, I'm always going to stall out this Trick Room without just losing the battle. So I'm kind of just preserving as many Pokemon as I can to let my Sylveon close this out. So there's the Facade. I could have switched out my Gastrodon into Arcanine, which was a consideration, but not what I ended up going for. Psychic Fangs right there. They're now primed to go for another Protect Earthquake, which would be annoying. Yeah, I don't want to just lose to that play, yeah. That's probably what they go for. 2 turn to Trick Room left. I feel like I might live the Earthquake if I Intimidate them, honestly. So that is what I'm going to go for. I'm going to Wicked Blow, switch. Into Arcanine. And I should have the bulk on Sylveon to maybe win. I might not. I probably don't live the Facade, truthfully, but I'm probably going to live the Earthquake unless they Aqua Jet me as well, which would be not... No, they're going for Earthquake, right? Yeah. So a bit of a read here, but my expectation is to knock out the Urshifu. It's pretty bulky physically, so after an Intimidate, I would kind of expect to live an Earthquake. Yeah, and I do. So kind of banked the whole game on it, but it paid off. Because now I have... Yeah, they take my Arcanine, sure, that's annoying, but it got the value that it needed. And Wicked Blow knocks out Ursa, so covering for a Terra Ghost with the Wicked Blow there instead of close combat. And now we just bring in our second Protect Pokemon, I feel, and... Well, that's not necessary. I think we bring in Sylveon, actually. Because it's likely Torkoal in the back, yep. Like, if I bring in Gastrodon and it's Urshifu, it could get a little dicey because they can knock out my Urshifu through Protect and then maybe do something with Bruxish to my Sylveon, but this feels pretty consistent. I feel like now I just go for switch to Gastro as they try and get cheeky and go for an Aqua Jet, and then Terra Hyper Voice. So knowing the Aqua Jet weakness policy is definitely really relevant here. That's probably going to be their last ditch effort because otherwise they couldn't knock out my Sylveon. Yeah, and we are going to see the Terrifier. So when you do get this setup going, I don't know of many Pokemon in the meta that can survive the Terrifier +2 Eruption from Bruxish, or from the Torkoal. Sylveon would probably be one of them. at neutral, it might get close, but probably still definitely gets knocked out still. So with the Terrifier and our Gastrodon, I think denying the Aqua Jet. I think even if you self-target with Aqua Jet, Gastrodon should still redirect it. Yep. So yeah, pretty much perfectly preserving the Gastrodon. It's all we needed, with just one turn on the field next to the Aqua Jet, and we'll see how much damage the Eruption does. Oh yeah, even if they do get that Aqua Jet off, they don't knock me out. Like, even if they get the Weakness Policy, it's doing less than half at neutral, so at +2 double, they're not knocking me out unless they crit. So the Terrifier once again coming in pretty clutch on the Sylveon. And now we bring in the Ursh, Wicked Blow, and close this one out. But yeah, Ursaluna is definitely very scary to play against with this team, especially when you don't have priority against Psychic Terrain or Dazzling. Oh, that actually took it. Pretty impressive bulk on the Torkoal, but it is known for its physical bulk, and we do close out another close one against Trick Room with some tight maneuvering. Sylveon just generally really strong. We've been trying to position the Arcanine to ease the load of the battle by just Rock Slide flinching turn 1, but haven't been getting it. Understandably, it might be Covert Cloak in this instance, although I'm not sure if it's Mental Herb or Covert Cloak on this team. Alright, next. Okay, for the last one, we have Heatran, Cresselia, Flutter Mane, Landorus, Rillaboom, and Iron Hands. So, solid looking team. I would normally suspect an Ursaluna to be somewhere there, but not quite sure what the Cresselia is doing other than just providing bulk. Maybe it's a Belly Drum Iron Hands or a Swords Dance or something like that, so definitely gotta be conscious of that. So Heatran's really threatening against my Arcanine, of course. Yeah. Lots of threats on their team. I think Sylveon is a pretty solid neutral lead against them. Arcanine Sylve's strong against everything but Heatran. That's kind of giving me pause. Urshifu could be pretty solid against... Yeah, I think it's actually really good with Terra Poison against most of their Pokemon. Yeah, well-constructed team on their end. I'm kind of struggling to figure out what I should do. Yeah, I think I kind of brought a team very weak to Heatran, unfortunately. But I was definitely lost on how to approach the Heatran in a matchup like this. Without Stomping Tantrum, I believe, on the Rillaboom, Urshifu definitely a strong option against it, but the Flutter Mane, the Landorus, the Iron Hands, all kind of difficult to handle. So I'm kind of banking on the Sylveon to have a good lead matchup, and then if it doesn't, maybe switch and Intimidate, get some value out of that. It is Cress, Iron Hand, so actually really solid lead for Sylveon. They have their choice of Fake Outs here, though. They could just knock out my Urshifu, I think, with Drain Punch, or maybe not, maybe it doesn't knock out. I could go immediately for Terra. The one fear is definitely Hyper Voice, or I feel like they kind of have to. They don't have to, because they can take the Wicked Blow on Crest, so I think I'll go maybe Terra. I think I might be able to tank this hit and go for Hyper Voice Wicked Blow. But we're kind of forcing a Terra out of them on either. Like, they either Terra their Iron Hands to be able to live the Hyper Voice, or they Terra their Caress. Ooh, Fairy. Smart. Very smart. That kind of tells me it'll most likely be Fake Out into... Oh, no Fake Out, so I will get the Hyper Voice on Iron Hands. Meaningful damage on Cresselia. Probably wouldn't have knocked out, but Thunder Wave, okay. That's cool. That definitely makes my Urshifu way worse, but I would have expected Trick Room on a team like this. The faster Cresselia is for sure threatening. They go for Heavy Slam, which I think maybe knocks me out. Yeah, I should have switched to Intimidate. Good play for them. I don't have a lot of counterplay now. Yeah, that's problematic for sure. Very, very problematic. All right. Yeah, that's an issue. So I should have gone for Terrifier there. That was one consideration, but I thought they'd fake out. But I definitely could have covered them a little better. I just didn't want to waste my Terra turn 1. But I could have just gone for Hyper or switch my Arcanine in that turn, so definitely a misplay. I'm bringing in Arcanine here because I feel like Drain Punch is now going to be their play. What I could go for is Sucker Punch into the Iron Hands. Well, how fast are they? 149. If they're 74 speed, they'll outspeed me, which is kind of likely, I feel like. Who could they have in the back? It could be Heatran. I mean, I feel like I'll just eat a Moonblast if I keep my Urshifu in and get knocked out, so... I think I'm going to get a little aggressive and just Terra Blast the Iron Hands. Urshifu switches out, which is going to be good information if their Iron Hand switches out next, because we'll know that our Urshifu, even while paralyzed, outspeeds them. But we are kind of revealing our tech on the... Nope, we're just going to knock out the Iron Hands unless they ally switch, because they do not switch out. I feel like Moonblast is reasonably likely into my Rillaboom slot, trying to pick off the Urshifu on the field. Like, Arcanine's value isn't really predicated on its speed unless it's Choice Band, which they could expect that. Like, maybe I'm just spamming Rock Slides late game, they want to have their Heatran outspeeding me. But unless they're Flash Cannon, I should be okay against it. Not great by any means, but not the worst off. They go for Lunar Blessing, so just trying to heal. So I'm pretty sure I would have been knocked out that turn. But man, if I had just Terra-Fired my Sylveon this turn, I'd be so well off. Heatran comes in, they have burned their Terra. Yeah, without stomping on the Rillaboom, the game is not lost, but it's looking pretty bad. Might be Rock Slide time. Although look who they have in the back. Rillaboom, Flutter Mane, Landorus. It could be the Lando, but I feel like Flutter Mane is their option against Urshifu a lot of the time, unless they're just banking on me not. Yeah, there's Protect on Heatran, so I could have fake outed the Cresselia, but I think just me not getting Flash Cannon or Heat Waved is way more valuable. Nah. In retrospect, I probably should have just fake outed the Cresselia, given Thunder Wave's likely coming into Arcanine, and now I just have no chance to paralyze them later in the game. Or just flinch them. And the Heatran's going to be a big nuisance, so I think I just Drum Beat in Cresselia and maybe Terra Blast it, try and get that knockout. I might need the damage into Heatran for close combat, honestly. So yeah, Drum Beating. I do actually outspeed the Heatran, so it would have been really nice if I was faster. Or if I had Stomping Tantrum, I probably could have just taken that knockout straight up. But not the case, and Rillaboom is now in range of Moonblast if they want to, really any move. They didn't Lunar Blessing, so if I don't get paralyzed, I will knock out the Cresselia. Or no, I won't, actually. Yeah, just missing that. So that's kind of bad. Because I actually can't switch. Like, I cannot afford to switch. What I could go for here is sack off my Rillaboom. Don't knock out Cresselia. Extreme speed it next turn. That's relying on a lot of luck, though. I think I'm going to go Rock Slide. Chip the Heatran a little more. Yeah, this is kind of hard. I think they're going to Lunar Blessing, so I kind of have to go for the Rock Slide and chip them into close combat range again. I think they crit their Heat Wave. No, yeah, Grassy Terrain has my calcs messed up. But if this knocks them, if I hit the Cresselia and the Heatran, I might be able to close it out with Extreme Speed. Wicked Blow. Unfortunate. Yeah, now it's looking very bad. Now it's quite very, very bad. I think they're just going to go for the... Yeah, I can't really catch up now on damage if they just go for Lunar Blessing every turn. Maybe I can catch them slipping, though, going for Moonblast. The problem is they've gotten too much damage onto my Arcanine at this point, to where I'm softened up for Flash Cannon, and yeah, the Thunderwave Cresselia really was solid and difficult for the team to handle, but I didn't play my Terras very well, and yeah, that's just kind of the risk you run in best of one. Yeah, good game to them. Hard to cover that option though. The Thunderwave Cresselia in best of one. I could have. Like they prioritized the Sylveon going down, but truthfully, I'm not sure why. I felt like Urshifu could have been more threatening if I played a little safer. But I guess given they have Thunderwave, it made sense. They're just like, okay, I'll Thunderwave the Urshifu and always just have it handled with Moonblast, or if it Terras, like Heatran in the back, so. It made sense, but it was hard to anticipate that game plan coming, so props to them. I was wondering in team preview, okay, why is Cresselia here? And definitely showed off why in that battle. Okay, for this one we have a really interesting team against Meowscarada, Flutter Mane, Sneasler, Chi-Yu, Iron Bundle, and Landorus T. So, yeah, no speed control other than the Iron Bundle on their side, but notably something that really handles the Gastrodon, so. I do think Flutter Mane is decent against the Chi-Yu Flutter, especially strong against the Iron Bundle, because I think I just straight up knocked them out. But really strong in this battle, I think, is Arcanine against everything but Hydro Pump and Stomp. So I want to preserve that really well. I think they could lead something like Chi-Yu Iron Bundle to good effect. So I have some concerns about that. Let's think though. I think Zapdos is safe. I could threaten something with Fake Out on Rillaboom, which I think is what I'm going to maybe go for. No, that's a little passive. I think I like Arcanine, Zapdos, Sylveon, and I feel like Urshifu could be really strong in the back against their team, which is is what I'm going to go with. So finally getting a chance to show off the Tailwind aspect of this team. The only problem is the Zapdos is mainly physically defensive, so it could probably fold to a Chi-Yu Overheat, and it'll definitely fold to an Overheat plus Icy Wind, but... And I can't, yeah, I was going to say but I actually can't even Terra out of a Freeze Dry into my Zapdos, so that's definitely going to be pretty tricky. No Protect either. Sneasler Chi-Yu is interesting, probably Fake Out, yeah. So I feel very good about my Arcanine lead for the most part. Sneasler is a threat for sure, but I think threatening Rock Slide, like I don't think they can knock me out unless they go for a double up. So I could go for E-Speed, take the guaranteed damage on that. Flare Blitz probably gets pretty close to a knockout, but I think a Thunderbolt this next turn will probably knock them out, so I think I'll just go straight for Tailwind Rock Slide. Could be Taunt Sneasler too, but we're seeing an immediate terror from them. So yeah, Chi-Yu terroring out of its weakness, going for a... You know what, that actually makes a lot of sense. So they're going for Terra Ghost in case I am Choice Band Terra Normal, basically. What? Oh, that's so cool. Oh my goodness, that is so cool. I was like, where's the Unburden activation on this Sneasler? It's Fake Out Normal Gem. I haven't seen a gem. Truthfully, I didn't even know gems were in this game. Wow, okay. So yeah, they do knock me into overheat range, which is like, annoying. But not the worst thing. I think I'll just take... I shouldn't switch into my Sylveon, should I? I should preserve my bulk, most likely. So their Sneasler is trying to take full advantage of this, probably. I think I'll just go for Flare Blitz, because the Chi-Yu is always just going to fold the Sucker Punch and Tailwind. But yeah, that was really interesting. Thankfully, we did survive. Close Combat comes out. It doesn't knock us out, but it gets way closer than I would have expected, truthfully. And they go for Overheat, so yeah, we're actually trading pretty poorly here because they're taking our Zapdos, they're preserving their Chi-Yu, and then yeah, Rock Slide would have been better here because I can knock out their Sneasler next turn with E-Speed, but instead I'm just trading Arcanine for not a ton, and I don't get Tailwind up, so turns out Terra Water would have been really strong in the first turn, but I don't think I could have expected Terra Normal, Fake Out plus Overheat. I mean, Overheat was reasonably likely, but yeah, they definitely made the most of that turn. But now the Chi-Yu kind of has to switch out, which I can take advantage of. Like I can bring in Sylveon, Terra Poison in the face of most of their team. Okay, so it's the Iron Bundle. Iron Bundleless, which I think I'm totally fine with because it should fold to a Hyper Voice, and I doubt it knocks out with it could maybe knock me out if I don't Sucker Punch them, but I feel like I 2-hit KO them with everything. I think I'm just going to protect my Urshifu though and Hyper Voice. That doesn't feel quite right though. I really don't think they can knock me out, but maybe they go for Protect. I want to be careful of that. Yeah, I'm just going to Sucker Hyper Voice, not overthink it. They shouldn't be able to knock me out with a Hyper Voice or a Freeze Dry, so I should just be able to go for Hyper Voice, kind of close the game out from there. Yeah, obviously they Sucker Punch fails into that. They do miss the Hydro Pump, so that was a smart play on their part, but fortunately if they're Focus Sash, yeah, it might have mattered, but I think I still just go for Protect, or I just go for Terra Fire. Live most likely in Overheat, maybe a Dark Pulse, Flower Trick, but I kind of doubt they go for a knockoff plus. Well, maybe they do go for knockoff to try and live the Hyper Voice. So yeah, that could have mattered. But now it's pretty safe Sucker Punch, Hyper Voice, and I don't really think there's a condition where I lose this game because we know they're Choice Scarf. Yeah, based on the damage, we pretty much know their Choice Scarf. But yeah, I think I probably live the Hydro Pump anyways. I might run that calc after this just to see, but it's unfortunate that we did not get to show off the Zapdos actually doing the Tailwind thing, but effectively it got us in the position we wanted to anyways, where Sylveon and Urshifu are just like trading well in the late game with their natural bulk and power. So no complaints there. Yeah, really interesting normal gem Sneasler. That is so cool, truthfully. That's a really cool option. And we see why I went for Terra there. After the starter ability, what is it? Man, I'm totally blanking on that, but the 30%, maybe it's 50%, yeah, the 50% boost to power trick after reaching their Blaze, Flash Flyer, or sorry, Blaze, Torrent, and Overgrow? Overgrow. It's Overgrow. After they went to Overgrow, even without a boosting item, they were pretty close to knocking out my Sylveon from full, which is probably the only way they can win, is if they take that knockout. And then just somehow win Sucker Punch Wars against my Urshifu until I don't Sucker Punch and then knock me out with Power Trick. Or they knock off as I go for Terra Poison, so something crazy, but we didn't get to that situation. Okay, this battle is really cool. They have a Grimmsnarl, Gyarados, Iron Bundle, Regieleki, Serena, and Chi-Yu. So I think I really haven't been able to make the Zapdos work yet, but against Gyarados, it feels pretty solid. Like Sylveon, really solid against most of their Pokemon, as well as Arcanine. Arcanine's actually exceptional against their exceptional against their whole team. Like Rock Slide in the Gyara into the Iron Bundle. As long as I have Tailwind up, I should be pretty good against those Pokemon. I'm considering Gastro, just because I think it actually kind of cooks their counterplay to my Arcanine, and is just a really solid defensive switch in. Rillaboom feels kind of weak into Serena plus Chi-Yu, as well as not being Assault Vest, so it's kind of weak into Iron Bundle as well. So I think this is kind of going to be a battle centered around protecting Zapdos, as well as the... I do keep forgetting, Iron Bundle is a water type. It is an ice type, but it also has Freeze Dry. So Gastrodon, although really strong against most members of their team, can definitely get chipped down without Recover or a Leftovers or a Citrus Berry. So I do have to be definitely a little tactical about when I'm bringing it in, and just like really getting the value out of protecting my Arcanine on those turns. Yeah, one detriment of something like Sylveon is if you get Tailwinded up, it's like usually going to be faster than everything on the opposing team. So Iron Bundle Chi-Yu, fair enough. Yeah, we knock out their Iron Bundle pretty consistently with Hyper Voice, I would guess. But we leave our Zapdos a little susceptible this turn. I feel like it's probably Freeze Dry Heat Wave or something, so I'm going to switch in Arcanine and Hyper Voice. I don't want to lose my Zapdos again, guys. I just can't handle it again. Arcanine's really good, though. Yeah, but it's probably like Gyarados, Serena in the back, so Zapdos could be really solid. Arcanine's way more solid, though. I think I'll just go for Tailwind. Hyper Voice. I'm tired of the Zapdos just getting knocked out, but there's some chance they like Heat Wave, Freeze Dries, miss a hit. I don't know. I just don't want Arcanine to switch in on a Hydro Pump and really just Terrifier. That's scary. Maybe should have gone for Terrifier of my own, but I don't think they can take a double knockout. They go for Icy Wind, which would have done a ton to my Zapdos. Wow, that does a 1/4 to my Sylveon, which is actually crazy damage. And they go for Heat Wave, and it misses Sylveon. We'll see if they are choice specs, but... Oh yeah, they're super specs. We got completely bailed that turn. We got completely bailed. Like, Arcanine would have taken a lot of damage from even that, so I'm glad we didn't switch it in. But... Sylveon actually could have lived. I'll check my bulk, but the Zapdos has no special bulk. Sylveon's naturally, I think, a little bit special bulkier than Zapdos. I don't know, is that 150 HP? They did, what, like 180? It was going to be close, but now they definitely did not. Yeah, Terrifier specs Chi-Yu, crazy damage. Yeah, 111 versus our 151. Yeah, I think we would have actually tanked. So, Zapdos, you've done your job. You were proven very lucky for us, and now we just get after it. I think tank the Heat Wave, go for Terrifier, which we should have done last turn. It does seem like in best of one, just Terra the Sylveon. Don't risk it. Seems like the better strategy. We lost one earlier, and we almost just lost this one to it. Or we almost just lost this one to not going for it. So my advice, if you're looking to play this team, maybe play a little conservatively with the Sylveon. It seems to be a pretty important Pokemon in the team. Just keeping it alive and getting at least 2 Hyper Voices off can sometimes just win you the game. So getting greedy and trying to like hold on to an okay position by not tearing, oftentimes not as good as just getting the damage. So that Heat Wave, I believe, would not have knocked us out, given that damage we just saw. But yeah, the Terrifier just perfect here. And we knocked the Serena down super low. They're now in range of, wait, well, I guess with Icy Wind, the Serena's just uber fast. Yeah, I kind of want to reset my speed on the Sylveon, maybe. I should probably preserve it for the Zapdos, though. I think Rock Slide's very safe. It's not safe, actually, because I can miss, but I think I like Rock Slide, switch to, or keep this in. Yeah, I'll keep it in. I think Zapdos being able to roost in the back is a little more valuable. We do miss one, but we hit the Serena, which is what I was more concerned about because maybe a high jump kick crits us and knocks us out. Although fighting moves have been doing a lot more to the Arcanine than I would have expected to take. So yeah, incredible damage from that Choice Specs GU. Really strong team from them. The Iron Bundle, I feel like I've been seeing more Iron Bundle on ladder this season. I think people are realizing there's kind of more holes to that than they were expecting. So Zapdos coming in, should be able to roost up against most things, and Gyarados comes in. Okay. So I think this is a good opportunity to... How many turns of Tailwind? One more turn. Thunderbolt, I'm actually not confident would knock out the Chi-Yu. I'm pretty sure Flare Blitz Thunderbolt will. Or E-Speed. No reason to risk the recoil. And I'm just very sure they don't have Protect. Yep, it's not a knockout, but with Thunderbolt in the last turn of Tailwind, we do finally get some work with the Zapdos, and with Gastrodon in the back, they just don't have a prayer against this Zapdos. Or the Arcanine, really. Like, they took Power Whip away from Gyarados this generation, so yeah, no shot. Yeah, we're max defense in this case, and we static them. So really unlucky battle for them. I think it still would have been pretty close if like the Sylveon lives the hit and gets the Hyper Voice off. I think Arcanine still beats the rest of their team as long as it hits its Rock Slides against Chi-Yu. I think we're still kind of good. Just knocking out the Iron Bundle would have been pretty big. And with Gastrodon in the back, I think we would have won anyways. Yeah, let's switch in Gastrodon and go for Thunderbolt. Yep, they do cancel out though. When you're underspeeding the Zapdos and is threatening the Thunderbolt, you know what's coming. That will do it for the battles today with Tomoya Agawa's first place Senior Division World Championship team. I think it's a really strong team. We didn't really get to see the Zapdos Tailwind mode come out to play very well, but the general bulk of Sylveon and Arcanine, as well as consistent spread damage provided by that pair, was really strong, as well as the Black Glasses Urshifu was really cool. I think if we had seen more of the conventional Tailwind, Tortoise, Urshifu water teams, the Zapdos and the Gastrodon, as well as Rillaboom, could have come out a little more and done some more work, but unfortunately didn't come across those matchups in the time I was playing. Regardless, if you want to use the team for yourself, the rental code is in the top right of the video, as well as in the description below with the Pokepaste along with the EV spreads. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the battles. I had a good time today battling, hope you did too. And with all that being said, peace y'all.